let's get on with tonight's political discussion. I do have my little chat window up for anyone who wants to contribute their thoughts, as long as, they're reasonable thoughts. But tonight I really wanted to touch on the Virginia Giuffre testimony. Because, wow, if you haven't read her manifesto or her book, which was a part of the exhibits pertaining to the Jeffrey Epstein case, you are missing out. You have to read it. I will put a link to it over on politicalnewstime.com, probably tomorrow when I upload this particular podcast. But especially if you are a parent, you need to understand what Virginia Giuffre went through, because not only did she blow the lid off of the circumstances surrounding Jeffrey Epstein and his accomplice, Ghislaine, what was her last name? Ghislaine Maxwell. But she reveals, or at least she pulls back the curtain a bit when it comes to a certain system that has been in effect, not just in America, but throughout the world, in regards to slavery, essentially. Virginia Giuffre was a slave. And I think that there are far more Virginias out there than we will ever know. Ever. What a lot of people don't realize is that the element of white privilege actually assists in the enslavement of young women, like the young woman that Virginia was. If you're black, you're actually protected from that system. Never in my life have I been happier to be African American than after reading Virginia's testimony in regards to quite a few things that she went through, even things that she went through prior to encountering Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, the mere fact that Virginia is still alive after dealing with everything that she dealt with is a miracle. It really is. But getting back to what I wanted to say to the multitudes of parents out there, and regardless of your ethnicity, even if you are African American or a parent to African American children, you need to educate your children in regards to the recruitment system that predators of children and minor age teenagers, even people in their early 20s, people who prey upon people in their early 20s, utilize to recruit. Okay, I'm just going to read a passage actually from her book, because oftentimes it's not the predators themselves who approach the target. They recruit individuals who are the target's age to approach other targets to recruit them into slavery, be it domestic slavery, sexual slavery, whatever. And that's what Virginia was actually recruited to do at one point. On the day before we were to be heading back to Palm Beach, Jeffrey had a new proposition for me. I could make double the money I was making if I would look for pretty girls to convince them to come back to Jeffrey's to be further persuaded with money to engage in bisexual and sexual acts with Jeffrey and I. I asked him, how does one actually propose such a thing to a complete stranger? Well, he said in a build-up to another kind of lesson, if I were you, I would use your charm to entice them and my money to bring them. I would tell them you work for a multi-billionaire who has a taste for young, beautiful girls, and with his contacts in the acting and modeling or rich husband world, your boss could help them. All they have to do is come meet me first. If I wasn't so naive at the time, I would have seen that's exactly what he was doing with me. My prospects were massage credentials, but with too much pain from my past, I could only have hope. Not that I was a shy girl, but picking up girls for one reason alone, only to be endorsed for her body, didn't sound like something I could do. But not wanting to displease my master, I told him I would give it a go. You could tell he was instantly excited with my agreement. He started to reveal the politics of what kind of girls he was looking for. He wasn't into multicultural girls, a very chauvinistic perception. He said they had to be uniquely gorgeous to be accepted by him, but definitely no African American girls. He was racist against anything different to his kind. A very narrow-minded way of thinking for such a supposed brilliant man. Woo! Thank God he didn't like black girls. Oh, it's a good day to be black, isn't it? But yeah, educate your children to be aware of individuals who may potentially recruit them for predators. Please do that, especially if you have young teenage girls. Another thing I wanted to mention tonight is that it's just amazing to me that Virginia Giuffre's book is, as of now, a historical legal document. I mean, it's incredibly well written. It's almost, well, it is rather pornographic, actually. It's akin in a way to 50 Shades of Grey. It's a must read, and it must be turned into a movie from my perspective. It's so well written, but there's so much in there that you have to be careful reading it, especially if you are a trafficking survivor, because it could easily trigger you. But it truly outlines the process that predators, groomers, recruiters, and whatnot utilize to keep the international slavery system going. But, you know, I consider it such a blessing that this Trump administration is bringing this entire situation to light. Whether it's been done on purpose or not. Virginia's situation also sheds light on how a parent or parents who embody levels of narcissism oftentimes can lead to a child who later becomes a teen being how do I want to put this? Being essentially groomed out the gate for these slave traffickers. If you're someone with narcissistic tendencies, don't have kids. By default, you probably will, because you would never admit to yourself that you're a narcissist. But narcissists, when they're parents, tend to generate offspring who are people pleasers, because that's the only way that they can survive, a narcissistic parent. And that is precisely the kind of target that pimps and slavers seek out and look for. I'm going to have to do a series of podcasts at some point in the future. Probably not this year, but at some point I am going to do a series of podcasts in regards to what it is to be a survivor of narcissism, and how I would say 9 out of 10 times, if not more, if you're someone who's found yourself in the adult entertainment industry, or who's a sex trafficking victim, or who's found themselves in some other sort of horrific circumstances or set of circumstances, most likely the reason for that has to do with one or both of your parents being a narcissist. Yeah. When you read the Virginia Giuffre testimony, one thing that really stands out is how horrific her mother was. I actually blame her parents for much of what she endured. And I do feel that it is her parents who should be punished in some way, shape, or form. I suppose divine justice is going to get them. But her parents could have intervened at a multitude of junctures in Virginia's life that, in a way, that would have halted a bit of what she endured, but they didn't. They chose to turn a blind eye. And the question is why? What was going on with the parents? I personally question whether or not her parents, or at least one of her parents, received some sort of financial compensation for Virginia. I just wonder about that. I don't think Virginia herself will ever even know the truth of what really was going on behind the scenes of her situation. Before Epstein, she was actually attained by another pimp who had a taste for underage girls. And a lot of what she went through, ironically, occurred right in my own backyard. The Broward County, Florida area. I couldn't believe that when I was reading. So many things that she outlined in her testimony. I know she wasn't lying. Just simply due to having grown up in the area that I grew up in. So, Florida parents, if you love your kids, keep tabs on them, please. Parents of America, if you love your kids, keep tabs on them, be involved in their lives, build them up, don't tear them down. And to those of you out there who haven't had children yet, wait before you have children. Don't have kids too young. Decide whether or not you really are suited to be a parent. If you have a lot of emotional baggage and a lot of issues within, don't have kids. If you're somebody who tends to make things all about you, don't have kids. Because the last thing that the world needs is more fucked up individuals. And there's too many fucked up individuals creating fucked up individuals. It's too many. Oh, so it's just amazing the things that this political environment has brought to light. But I am very glad that these Epstein testimonies and files and whatnot have been unsealed and made public. I think it should be required reading for anyone going into law enforcement, anyone going into the legal field.